What's up, guys? Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to take these gimbal spacers out and we're going to put these 3D printed ones in. I made these a while back, but I couldn't find screws to fit them in there because the ones that came originally with the Boxer didn't work. And I found these old ones that I guess were for my old TX16S sitting in a drawer somewhere. So to make these work, I found a package of screws that I believe will work on Amazon. We're going to try to make these little guys work. And let's get to it. So as you can see, my Boxer is pretty heavily modified. Switch covers, Stickcam Adapter, custom switch put in there that I pulled out of a different radio to get rid of that stupid toggle button right there that I hate, and a custom balancer. And if you hear what sounds like an animal dying in the background, that would be my dog. He's getting old and he's broken. So sorry about that obnoxious noise. Anyway, we're going to start. We're going to take my module out of the back, put that to the side, take the cover off. We're going to remove the battery. We're going to take the little grips off. As you can see, I covered this whole damn thing with sandpaper like grip tape that I had laying around because of ergonomic frustrations, which I will talk about a little bit later. And here we go. The screws holding this together are just a small Phillips head. I don't know what size. You'll figure it out. And just stick that in there and start rotating. And there's one here, here, and then one here, and one here. All right, that should be loose. So we're just going to take the radio and we're going to pull this off. One screw still has a thread or two in there. We're going to loosen that. And now we've got to pop our little custom switch out. There we go. And so we're going to put this to the side. And now we get to the fun part. So if you want to see this custom switch, you can find this. I'll put a link in the description. Someone designed it. It's on one of the 3D printing websites. Look for the link. This switch is just a standard short 2-position switch. I actually ripped this out of an old Spectrum radio that I had, and I ended up cutting the switch mechanism for the button off of the PCB so I could fit this in there. I saved it. I probably destroyed it in the process. I really don't care. You've got a screw here, here, and then here, and here. The cable for your gimbal is here, and it's the same deal on the other side. That's your cable right there, and those are your screws. Be careful with the main board. Don't damage it if you're doing this. Pay attention to the orientation of your gimbals. It's pretty easy if you look where the interior lever bars are. Take note of that so you don't accidentally put like your throttle gimbal in upside down when you put it back together. You want them both on the interior, or I would say the throttle tension bar on the exterior. While we're talking about that, a gentleman I know on the interwebs suggested some of this PTFE heat shrink, and I found a supplier for it down here in Florida, and I tested it out. Instead of greasing the gimbal tension bar, which I was doing previously, I decided to try this because if you put damping grease on the tension bar here, over time, it gets really dirty, and then it gets really crunchy and grindy, and then your throttle feels really terrible. And with this thing, that never happens, and it stays silky smooth the whole time. I'll put a link in the description for that. If you're interested, I highly suggest you try it out. Unfortunately, you can only buy it, and I think in 10 packs, and that'll be enough for you and probably all of your friends and every transmitter you're ever going to own until the day you die. That's about an inch. You'll see when you click on the link. All right, so let's remove the gimbal, and we're going to start by just removing these screws. And try not to drop them all over the place. This particular driver is not well magnetized, unfortunately. We're going to go ahead and unplug the gimbal by just popping this out. There we go. To get the gimbal itself out, I like to grab it from the little standoffs for the throttle tension bar and just kind of wiggle it loose until it pops out. And I forgot a screw in there, so we're gonna take that out, and there we go. That's our gimbal, and as you can see, we have the official Radiomaster spacers. And the reason I'm replacing these is these are supposedly 4.5 millimeters, and these are, I believe, 7 millimeters difference. I feel like I noticed a difference that I really like when I drop the gimbals deeper into the radio. So I want to test basically the maximum I can go without having to mod the rear case. And this is it. So we're going to try that out. If you decide to put these in there, I don't know if they change the dimensions at some point, but this was a real pain in the ass. To get these out, I'm going to try to press on the interior on one side and then the other side. I think it helps a little bit if you have a little bit of fingernail. Try not to hurt yourself. That's about as loose as we're going to get on that side. So we're going to push this one back in a little bit, not too far. It's kind of flush with the top there, and try to pop this in. All right. So that one is pretty much loose. We're going to pop this out, and that is the old CNC aluminum gimbal spacer. Now we're going to take the 3D printed one. I printed this out of TPU. It's yellow. I like yellow. If you don't like yellow, then do whatever the hell you want. So we're going to put that in there. We're going to match this up. The pattern that we have there is the gimbal itself has a cutout there versus a fully enclosed hole here. We're just going to follow the same pattern, and we're going to press that down in there very nicely. Move our switch out of the way, and then we're going to take our gimbal. And again, this tension lever is going to be on the inside, just like the other gimbal over here. And we're going to put it right back in its little slot. Carefully press it down by the tips of these screws. And we're going to take our screw on the screwdriver, and we're going to try to thread it in there. Sorry if you can't see, but just using my finger to brace the top of it. And that looks like it's in the hole right there. So we're just going to screw that in a little bit. We'll do the same thing for the other three. Okay, we've got all 4 of them in there. So we're going to tighten them down until they're a little bit snug. And I'm going to go in a clockwise fashion. And now they're all snug. And then we're just going to plug our gimbal back in. As you can see, the holes and the pins. Don't put it in there upside down, or you might be very upset with yourself. All right, you tuck your wire back down here beside the gimbal, and then you do the exact same thing for the other side. All right, guys, so now that we have both of the spacers installed, as you can see, they're flush here. They look kind of cool. My gimbals are now deeper into the radio. And the reason for doing this is that, from what I read, if you can drop the gimbal deeper in the radio while keeping your sticks the same height, which means extending them by the difference that you drop them, you gain a pretty significant amount of resolution. And as you can see, I'm one of those weirdos that uses the thumb on one side and then does this hybrid pinchy clawy thing and changes constantly while I'm flying, and it drives me nuts. And that's an ergonomics issue. Now make sure that if you do this, you recalibrate your sticks after you're done, because having them deeper in the radio is going to change everything. All right, now that we have everything back together, first thing we're going to do is turn the radio on.
Engine off, acro mode on.
And we're going to go to the system menu and hit page until we get to the hardware tab. And we're going to go to calibration. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure everything is centered, because it's going to ask me anyway. So enter to start on the wheel, set sticks to midpoint. They're already at the midpoint, and we're going to start the calibration, and we're just going to move the sticks to each of the endpoints, and then move the pots either end, hit the button. Now the sticks are recalibrated. A note after you update the stick calibration, if you significantly change the tension on the gimbal on any of the axes, or you change the height of your sticks, I would strongly suggest that you recalibrate again for the best results, as it can throw things off. All right, guys, if this was helpful, press buttons, and I'll see you in the next one.